Rush drinks.
Now Rush. Yes!
Ian Rush.
Is this 3? It is!
He said if I didn't drink lots of milk, when I grow up, I'm going to be good enough to play for Accrington Stanley.
Oh my God! The cup belongs to Liverpool. Liverpool have done the double. Rush! Goal! Thomas is shot! Oh, that's a fine goal! It's there! Michael Eric strikes again!
Gerrard! Oh! Oh goodness me!
Winners again!
Accrington Stanley, who are they? Exactly.
Exactly indeed. These two clubs will forever be joined by a phrase made famous in the 80s, but one that is still in the Scouse vocabulary. It's the third round of the most historic of competitions. The FA Cup and Accrington Stanley have travelled to Merseyside today to make sure that nobody in Anfield will be asking, who are they? It is a very early start for all of us today. Kickoff is at 12:15 UK time. That's when we will bring you live audio commentary of all the action from right here at Anfield. Good morning, welcome along to Matchday Live, and a warm welcome to two men who know this competition very well indeed. Jason McAteer went all the way to the final with Liverpool in 1996. Ronnie Whelan was a winner in 86 and in 89 when he was captain. And he also was part of the squad that won it in 92, but he didn't get a medal, which was outrageous, I think, Ron.
Disgraceful.
Yeah.
I scored in the semi-final as well to keep Liverpool in that cup. And then I done my hamstring.
To be honest, there was no room to put one in the cabinet. He had that many in there.
Not sure the success was run through the year, but you both know the competition very well, and there is still something special about it from whichever end of the spectrum you come, whether you're the big dogs looking to get silverware or you're the minnows looking to cause the upset, Jason.
Well, me personally, I absolutely love the FA Cup. As growing up, watching this lot, serial winners in every competition, it was just brilliant to watch the FA Cup. You'd get up in the morning, you'd turn your telly on, you'd go through the whole thing, watch the match, and inevitably watch these win. So great memories. And then obviously, when you play for this club, one of my ambitions was then to play for Liverpool in an FA Cup final. It was bittersweet because we got Manchester United, our arch rivals, in the final, and unfortunately we were done 1-0 by Eric Cantona's goal late on. So to play for Liverpool in the final at Wembley, old Wembley as well, was very, very special. To get beat obviously was awful, but I absolutely love this competition. I think it's brilliant.
You know, we sort of joke about it, but you had so much success during your playing career, Ron, but to lift the FA Cup as a captain, what did that sort of rank for you in all the things you achieved?
That's top. I know we won the European Cup, which is great, but you know, on a personal level, to walk up ahead of the likes of some tremendous footballers that played for Liverpool that day, it was absolutely brilliant. As a kid growing up in Dublin, I didn't get to Wembley, I didn't get to see games over here very often. Now and again we'd come at Easter and watch a couple of games. But I always, you mentioned it, getting up in the morning for the start of it'd be like starting at 9-10 o'clock in the morning. There'd be helicopters flying over and there'd be interviews on the bus and things like that. And that was always, I'd love to be there one day. Luckily, I've won 2 of them, so it's been a good competition. Actually, we took so long from when I come into the team, 81 when I come into the team. It wasn't until 86 till I won an FA Cup. It was one that kept eluding us. We kept getting beat. But to win it was great.
Well, on that, Liverpool have won this trophy 8 times, which sounds amazing. For me, that always feels a little bit low when you compare it to how much success we've had in kind of everything else. We've overachieved in everything else, and that feels the one where maybe we're a little bit below where we should be. Maybe I'm being greedy and distorting it. I don't know.
No, I've always felt the same. Liverpool have only won 8 FA Cups in their history. I've won 2 of them, so that means, that they should have won more along the way. We've lost some silly games in this FA Cup when we felt we should have gone through and done more, beaten in semi-finals by Man United, things like that. But we couldn't get over the line, the team I was playing until 86.
I mentioned it's not just about Liverpool's point of view, it's about Accrington today. The players are out on the park just now soaking this in. You've been part of a smaller team in these games as well. You know how they are feeling.
I was going to touch on that as Ronnie was talking there. I mean, we're talking about playing for Liverpool in FA Cup finals at Wembley, which is amazing. But some of my best days in football were playing for Bolton, knocking out Arsenal, being involved Bolton against Liverpool here, which was a replay. I think we drew 1-1 or 2-2 at Burnden Park. We were talking about it before. There was no undersoil heating, and it was on the telly, so it had to be played, and it was like an ice rink. And we've got a replay, and we come back here. We think it's just going to be a Liverpool win, and we're going just to have the experience. We end up winning the game, going through, and then I played against Arsenal again. It was a replay down at Highbury, scored, knocked Everton out the FA Cup, Aston Villa out the FA Cup. So I've been involved in some giant killings, and the memories at Emma are unbelievable. And plus what it does financially for the football club as well. It keeps them ticking over nicely, and it helps with a push. If you're trying to get promotion, you can bring players in with some of the money that is generated from a good cup run. So yeah, the FA Cup serves a real purpose for the smaller clubs and the teams in lower divisions.
You were still part of things here on in '94 when Liverpool lost to Bristol City under Graham Souness. It ultimately saw Graham leave pretty much the next morning after that defeat. Didn't play, I should add in, so it wasn't your fault.
Yeah, throw that in quick.
But, these things don't happen that often. They happen less often now, it feels, given the disparity in finances, but they can still happen.
Yes, they can still happen. We keep saying the beauty of the FA Cup. They can happen. There's a lot of players playing for Accrington today who'll be trying to prove a point, whether it's to Liverpool scouts or other scouts. I could have been good enough. I just didn't get the breaks. They're having the day now. They'll show and try to say to people, you should have had a look at me when I was 15, 16, but you didn't. I'm really disappointed. But I want to prove something now.
Yeah.
And they'll go out and they'll try the hardest. They're playing at Anfield. But there's that little bit that they want, the little bit extra they will give, because they believe I should have been there one day.
You saw what it meant to them when the draw was made. You saw the videos going on social media. Josh Woods was one of them. This was one of the ties that they wanted to get, especially for so many boys who've got connections to Liverpool in one way or another within that group as well. This is one where it's like, wow, this is a special occasion for them.
I think for the players as well, when it's drawn that you're away from home and playing at Anfield, I agree. A lot of these kids have come through the likes of Everton's academy, Liverpool's academy. There's a sprinkling of the lads who were released, and Ronnie's right, they'll come back and they'll want to prove a point. But being at Anfield for the players will be very special. I think maybe if you want to make it a leveler, maybe being at Accrington, it might have suited maybe the financial side of things. They might have thought they might have nicked the draw and then get another game at Anfield or a replay at Anfield where they can make more money. But just a one-off game for the players is just brilliant. This place is going to be full. Like Ronnie said, some of the players will have a point to prove, but it is their day out. It's their cup final, isn't it? And if they can stay in the game as long as they can and make it awkward for Liverpool, then who knows, a set piece could just get them in front, and then you've got a cup game on.
Isn't there always that little chance that there's a sending off, or Jason said a set piece, where you hang on, your goalkeeper makes 10 saves in the game, and then you sneak a goal, and then Liverpool are under pressure then, especially because it's Accrington Stanley they're playing. It's not like Man United.
Well, on the Accrington Stanley thing, we alluded to it at the top of the show. We saw a clip from the advert. People of a younger generation, they won't quite understand it, but that advert, the Milk Marketing Board, Ian Rush at the heart of it, it did become part of the kind of the lexicon, didn't it, of the country subsequently.
Yeah, Rushy was part of it, wasn't he? And the success these were having as well, rightly so. It was Liverpool who said it, but Accrington's a local club. They've always languished around sort of the bottom half of the pyramid, but that advert really put them on the map, and it was a great advert, wasn't it? And we all talk about it, but you're right, it's lost in generations. I speak to my lad now, he's 24, he hasn't got a clue what it was about, and I'm saying yesterday to people, have you ever seen that advert about the milk? No. It's kind of lost now, but it was iconic back in the day.
88 places between these two sides going into today, so that shows the challenge in front of Accrington. And they're, of course, perhaps not helped by the fact Liverpool weren't at their best in the game against Spurs. The manager might demand a little bit more of a reaction today, given what he saw at home, just to eliminate any chat Liverpool have hit a bump in the road, because it's starting to gather a little bit of chatter, a bit of pace.
I think people have gone a little bit overboard. We haven't played great in the two games, but especially the Man United game. And I know Trent didn't have a great game against Man United, but what about all the other games he's played this season when he's been really, really good? I haven't seen the team yet. I'm sure you've got it, but a few players needed extra minutes. You're looking at Kwanzaa centre-back. I know he was ill now. I didn't at the time. He just seemed to be a little bit off. There was other players a little bit off. The passing was off. Players who need minutes this is where to get them on. This is not a little game. This is a big game to get them out there. Endo again, if he was playing, would be all right with me. Conor Bradley would be all right with me. Kanate would be all right with me. Give them minutes and let them get back into playing again.
Does this concern you at all, this result, or do you take into consideration the
Tottenham
debate about the player Bergvall who maybe should have seen red, he was involved in the goal, scored the goal, and include that? And also, do you factor in the fact, look, it's half time in the tie, so actually don't get too concerned about it?
There was a number of changes that night, and I agree with Ronnie. You know, sometimes you have to take into account, when we played professional football, there was a reserve league. You know, if you didn't play in the first team, you'd play midweek in the reserves. You were always ticking over in some match capacity. It wasn't just training, wasn't just on the training ground. You were trying to keep fit. You stay in match sharp because you had a reserve team game. They don't have that now. It's very rare that, you know, they don't play in the first team, especially the big players. You know, they sit it out, they might do their running, and then all of a sudden they're thrown in. And I think sometimes it's expected. That was a big game against Tottenham. It was a semi-final of the League Cup. You know, they had the added pressure with their own manager, Postecoglou, had said, listen, we always win a cup in my second season. They're in the semi-final, it's at home. You know, they were underdogs because they had a lot of injuries and players being ill. So it was a big game for the Liverpool players, like Bradley to come into and Quansah to come into. Yeah, they had, you know, probably off days, but they need more minutes. And, you know, again, today it's a big game, like Ronnie said, they need more minutes.
Just some of the passing.
Sloppy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was sloppy, and it was like, really, I know it was, but it was like a player coming back after injury, trying to get going again.
That's what it looked like.
Give them more minutes as quickly as possible.
I'm sure that might very well be the case. We'll soon find out. Team news is just around the corner. OK, let's hear from the head coach now as he prepared for his first outing in the FA Cup. Arne spoke to the press on Friday and is fully aware that the visitors today will be more than up for this challenge.
I think every team that plays against us, it's a special occasion for every team we face, but especially for a lower league team. So they will be all up for it. They've lived towards this game for many weeks, probably 9 out of 10 times. All players are fit. Then there's no one suspended. So and the challenge is always to bring the best out of ourselves. So I think everybody could understand that if you go to a Champions League final, everyone is completely hyped up and ready, and that is for them today. Tomorrow it's going to feel as if it's the Champions League final. So we have to be aware of that. And 9 out of 10 times then the first 25 minutes, half hour is the most difficult part of the game, because they will still be very intense. And it's up to us to be ready for them wanting to play the best game of their lives. And that is what we have to do as well.
What do you know about the relationship between Liverpool and Accrington?
I do know about the milk adverts. Probably everybody knows this. Immediately after the game, there was a clip or a video about a player that was so happy that he was going to play at Anfield. So these kind of things I know. I know people from this area also play for that club. And there's quite a lot actually that I already know. And of course I know a lot about the team, which today I'm going to even know more about, because we're going to dive into it even more today. But yeah, that's all I can say about it.
How complicated have you found it, getting that balance between the rest and the rhythm, when in your first season here in England with the extended Champions League and with 2 domestic cup competitions?
It's not difficult because I think if you are in a league like this and you play so many games, that it's one of the most important thing you can do is give players some rest once in a while when it's possible. Against Tottenham, if you look at the output, physical output, it was one of our best games this season. That tells you then maybe that for them being rested, that at least they are completely ready to compete. So you cannot see what some people try to say now, that we might be tired or those kind of things. No, not at all. We are even having a step up. If I look the game back and I look at the last 70 minutes, I see that we were able, just as many times as 2 weeks ago, arriving in and around the final third, but we were not creating as much chances as we did 2 weeks ago. But that is a normal situation in the season. That's the most difficult part of the pitch, the final third. Sometimes these attackers create chance after chance, and sometimes it's a bit harder.
That was the boss speaking ahead of today's game. Wonder how many changes he's made to his starting lineup. Well, I can tell you. For those of you predicting all 11, well, you're not too far away. 9 changes in total for this one today. The headline news is that 16-year-old Rio Ungamoa makes his Liverpool debut in the team today. So, the team in full is Kevin Kelleher, Wataru Endo, Dominic Szoboszlai, Darwin Núñez. It's Harvey Elliott, Diogo Jota, Kostas Tsimikas, Trent Alexander-Arnold, the aforementioned Rio Ungamoa. It's Jarell Quansah and Tyler Morton. On the bench, Yaros, Diaz, McAllister, Chiesa, Robertson, McConnell, Dans, Bradley and Naoni. A lot of debate about what kind of team the manager would put out today. I think some were expecting to go with more kids, perhaps with Forest on the horizon, and perhaps because it's a rare opportunity for him to rest some of the senior players. But as you mentioned earlier, there are some players who need minutes, and he's gone pretty strong given they're playing a team that is the bottom end of League Two.
I think as a coach, you've got to go, I don't care who we're playing, you know, whether it's Accrington Stanley or whoever, but I need players on that pitch that I need to give minutes to. And there's a lot of them playing today. The 3 young kids, I said to you before the game, I said, you know, you can only really put 3 kids in. You know, especially when you're playing well, you wouldn't put them near the place if we were playing terrible. But for me, the players that have, like Quansah and Bradley, the ones that need minutes, Endo, Elliott, they're all out there, and I'm glad the way he's picked it.
I think as well, Mark, I think the manager's been very consistent with his team selection through the season to where we are now. You know, there's a lot of players who have played a lot of minutes, and that's understandable. It's his first season. You know, they put themselves in a position where I feel it's theirs to lose the league, and they've gone along really well. He has got to manage them minutes now, but unfortunately there's been players on the fringe who haven't got in, who do need them minutes, likes of Endo, the likes of Quansah, you know, first team squad players. So unfortunately the kids are going to miss out, because them players, like Ronnie said, they're the ones who actually do need the minutes, because he's going to need them to be up to speed come the latter stages of the season.
Before that, the manager had sort of spoken about this week. He was asked, I think, specifically about Harvey Elliott and given his lack of games, and he says, what I've learned so far about the Premier League, it's a difficult league to come in, and when you're trying to get minutes, so it takes a bit of time. So that's the kind of reasoning.
So they're the priority.
They're
the like Harvey Elliott is the priority today, not one of the kids from the academy. It's unfortunate because, you know, under Jurgen, he did rotate quite a lot, and the kids did get the opportunities. But it's his first season, and he's put himself in such a good commanding position. You know, right now his priority is not bringing the kids through from the academy and giving them minutes here. It's understandable. It's giving the likes of Harvey Elliott, Quansah, Tsimikas, it's giving all them the minutes, because he's going to need them in a couple of weeks' time.
Well, there's been a little bit of talk now about Elliott and what's his position and if he's going to stay. There's clubs looking at him and all that. Elliott's now been given a chance here today.
Yeah.
So you would have to look at it and go, okay, I've got to put in a big performance against Accrington to just remind people, yeah, I can still play, you know, and I can still fit in here. I was just a little bit concerned for him that his name was starting to be mentioned about moving from the club when he's still only 20, 21 years of age, 22, whatever it is, but he's still a young lad, got loads of time left here.
He's an old man compared to young Rio, 16 years of age, unused sub in the League Cup game against Southampton. Now he's in from the off in this game. What's going through his head?
Oh, I don't know. I made my debut in League of Ireland at 16. And it's a frightening. It is frightening because
talk us through that. Look, young Ronnie, 16, League of Ireland.
I made my debut in the Birkenhead Sunday League when I was 16.
But you know, when you're playing against men now, you're a 16-year-old playing against 30-year-old men, and they don't mind. When I played League of Ireland, they don't mind booting you up in the air. It's a little bit different now. And hopefully he gets a lot of time on the ball, and then he can show what he can do. Obviously, the manager knows what he can do, or he wouldn't be playing him.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him.
He's a wide left player by trade. We'll wait and see where he operates today. He's a box of tricks. He's quick. He's dynamic. He beats players. The fullbacks who play in League Two will not take kindly to that. They don't want a young kid showing them up. That's the reality of it. Like, he might get a bit of rough treatment, and he'll have to cope with that.
listen, one thing you can expect from the Accrington players is they'll be physical, just because they want to impose themselves and they don't want to.
They don't want to lose.
They don't want to lose. Yeah, that's the simple fact. If they're not here to make the numbers up and enjoy themselves and have a tour around the, the trophy cabinet, they're here to win a game. So, if I'm playing right back, I'm thinking, I'm going to let him know he's in a game straight away. He's only a kid. How's he going to react? But then it's down to him. And on the learning curve of making it as a professional footballer, he would have never, experienced anything like this, a full house at Anfield. He played in front of maybe a couple of thousand. But this is a massive step on the learning curve of, can he handle this atmosphere? Can he handle getting kicked maybe a couple of times? What's his body language going to be like when he picks himself up? Does he want the ball again? Does he go hiding? If he has a bad 10 minutes, how's he going to cope? The academy directors, Alex Inglethorpe, will be watching that. The manager will be watching that. So it's a massive step in his, in the learning curve of him making it here.
Did you win your first game in the League of Ireland?
Can't remember, it was that long ago.
I won mine to Birkenhead Sunday.
Oh, that's good to know. In terms of players who've come and trod that path before, Trent is the best example in recent times of guys who've taken the opportunity and kicked on. He's in from the off today, which is one you perhaps wouldn't have expected maybe in this game. Maybe not a bad thing for him, to remind people just how good a player he is and why he's so valuable to this team, because there was this kind of massive overreaction after the United game by some, wasn't there?
It was a huge overreaction for me. And if he doesn't have a good game, it's going to come back again. Why don't you go? What's wrong with you? Why are you playing now? Because you want to away? There's all this coming on to him. I'm glad he's put him in, because he'll show today what he can really, really do, Trent. His passing of the ball is second to none in the Premiership. The left foot, right foot, pings, everything. Gets down outside, creates chance. Nearly scored the other night when he came on against Tottenham. For me, Trent's been one of the best players we've had over the last few years. I don't want to see him go. I don't want to even think about him going. I think hopefully he will stay. But come on, let's not take it that he's the worst player in the world because there's mentions in the paper that he's going to go away.
We all have off days, don't we? And we all have poor games.
Some more than others.
I mean, Ronnie very rarely had an off day, but you do. Unfortunately, like Ronnie said, with what's hanging over him, everything's scrutinised at the minute, and you do become an easy target. Listen, everyone wants it resolved. I'm sure he wants it resolved. I think his performance showed that it needs resolving one way or the other. How long it takes, who knows? But we all have a bad day, and Ronnie's right. Since he's taken his opportunity when he come in for Klein. He started off as a centre midfielder here through the academy. He's worked his way in. He took his opportunity, and now is arguably one of the best right-sided players in the world football, in Wales football. So, he's been part of the massive success and the roller coaster that we've seen over the 7 years. Let's respect what he does here. We don't need to get onto him. If he goes, he goes. If he stays, we'll love him even more, but we don't know. So let's just give him the respect he deserves.
We've just been seeing some of the Accrington squad out on the pitch, taking selfies, posing for pictures, soaking it all in, just enjoying the experience. They'll have looked at our team sheet and thought, wow, I'm playing against Jota and Nunez and all these guys. They'll be loving that. I think they will. I think they'll relish it.
I know, yeah. And they'll want to go out and show they can play against them.
Thanks, Mark. With a former Liverpool youngster who's come full circle with Accrington.
Get sometimes a bit of bleed through from the speakers here of other interviews going on, but don't worry, that's been fixed now. A voice from the gods came billowing through, but it's been resolved.
I thought I was playing.
Right. Cut you off in mid-stride. The point of it, they'll enjoy playing against some of the big names. From our point of view, there are bigger names, and we mentioned the guys like Harvey who need minutes. There are guys like Darwin and Jota who need minutes and need goals to get rhythm at the top end of the field, because they definitely will be called on in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, again, we're going back to that. They need minutes, but for the centre forward, that's where they do find the sharpness in it, the movements. I mean, Jota's been a miss, I think, through his injury. The options that we've ended up playing Diaz there. Nunez is a completely different kind of striker. But Jota, they pride themselves on goals, and today's an opportunity where if they score early, they could run up 5 or 6, and they want to be part of that. They want to score. Listen, centre forwards are a funny breed. We talk about goalkeepers, but centre forwards are funny, aren't they? If
they're not scoring, they're a pain.
Oh, aren't they? They're a nightmare when they're not scoring. So hopefully the two of them get hat-tricks today. Yeah. But they need rhythm and minutes. You're right.
OK, well, come kick off. Steve Hunter will be guiding you through proceedings here at Anfield. Steve is up in the main stand just now. Steve, who have you got alongside you with you for this one?
Thank you so much, Mark. Yes, Neil Mellor will be with us, the former Red, of course. And a bitterly cold day at Anfield. I can see just our commentary position on the 6th floor of the main stand. There's a small away end because, would you believe, an incredible day this really for Accrington Stanley, isn't it? Because their home ground, the Wham Stadium, only holds 5,500 capacity. So there's going to be triple, even quadruple that here today at a sold-out Anfield. So look into this one. Really looking forward to this one. The FA Cup third round, of course, a real, for those traditionalists amongst you out there, of course, a real big day that we all look forward to. Liverpool 8 times winners of the FA Cup, of course. The last one we remember fondly, 2022. Remember that one against Chelsea? Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, was in charge of Chelsea that day, and that was an extraordinary game. Luis Diaz could have had 3 or 4. Remember Andy Robbo hitting the post, but Kostas Tsimikas, the Greek Scouser, wrote himself into Anfield folklore with that winner and the celebrations with the winning spot kick, of course. 65, of course, we'd waited so long until Bill Shankly delivered like he said he would. Ian St John, that marvellous Wembley winner, and Jerry Byrne playing the entire game basically with a broken collarbone. Would that happen these days? No, it wouldn't, of course. Remember the 74, the legendary David Coleman commentary, Newcastle United, Kevin Keegan and co. Incredible. 86 against Everton, Rushy, of course, the hero in 2. That Grovelar save off Graham Sharp at 1-0 down, massive. And, of course, the emotions that Ronnie Whelan remembers when he skippered Liverpool after Hillsborough to beating Everton in the FA Cup. Great memories. Mark, it's back to you.
Thank you, Steve. We've just been watching the montage of all those FA Cup lifts, and we saw Ronnie obviously lifting the trophy, as Steve just mentioned. And Jason, of all people, just criticised your trophy lifting technique.
I said, why did you go that way? And then he went, tell him what he said.
When we won the Charity Shield earlier on in the season, I went to lift the Charity Shield up, and as I lifted it up to show to the crowd, the arm at the back come and hit me in the head. So I was frightened of the lid falling off on my head. So I turned round and then took the lid off, so the lid didn't fall off. That was all.
Why did you go?
I don't know.
Instead of going like that to the crowd, why did you go that way to the lads? Was it to the lads, do you think?
If you ever get the opportunity, it's just so good.
I won't now. But
don't give up, Jason. There's still time.
No, you can get it for Accrington.
I'm a connoisseur of trophy lifts, as you can see.
Jason in his house lifting up all kinds to the.
I have done that in my bedroom. Believe me. Give it the FA Cup lift. Yeah, gone that way. I'm going to do the Ronnie Whelan today.
The Ronnie Whelan. There you go. Let's get a little backstory.
Mark Wright got told off when he lifted the trophy, because royalty was behind him. He swore.
Oh yeah,
he said
something in there.
Get it, yeah.
Fair enough.
It's in there, but there was a naughty word before it, and he got told off.
I think you're allowed to swear a little bit if you just won the FA Cup. Like, you're in the moment, you're caught up.
I'm sure royalty have banged their head on a corner of a kitchen cupboard and swore. They must have done. Everyone does that.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
they're not adverse to it.
Well, it'll be good to know for future reference.
Yeah,
there you go. And if you're ever at home in a position to lift a trophy, a bit of tips there on how to do it from a man who's well versed in it. Yeah.
No, if there's any kids out there who want to know how to lift a trophy, Ronnie's. I think you got it wrong.
Watch yourself when you're lifting the Charity Shield.
The thing will hit you in the face.
Anyway, it's time for our viewers on social media to leave us. But our Matchday Live build-up will continue on LFC TV after the break. If you are watching this and you aren't yet a subscriber and you want to join us, you can find the details of how to sign up online at liverpoolfc.com/watch. Coming up in the rest of our pre-match show, though, we'll look ahead to the game with Conor Bradley, who's amongst the subs today. Just before kick-off at 12:15, Steve and Neil Mellor will guide you through all of the action with our live audio commentary. And then, after the full-time whistle, we'll be back down pitchside to look back at the game and bring you some analysis and reaction to it. That post-match show will also be available to listen to in the reaction later on. That's the club's official podcast. And you can watch the full game on LFC TV from 12 p.m. on Sunday. And don't forget to look out for Inside Anfield as well. That takes you behind the scenes of events here today. That'll be on Facebook and on YouTube on Monday. We are heading to a break just now, but if you are sticking with us on LFC TV, coming up next, we'll be talking all things Accrington Stanley.
Just imagine it.
Give the ball, he score every time. You pass, no look pass.